All right, all right, all right. Hey, shalom, family. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. We back. We back. Really, we should have been here, last week around this time. But shout out to IT. We appreciate you, IT. We appreciate you, IT. We appreciate you. Lord's will, we get this class in. I got a lot, but it's probably going to have to be 2 parts. So next time I teach this, I will go into the rest of my topic. But the topic for today is whose land is it anyway? A history on deportation. So before we get into anything, let's go ahead and get the scripture. Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. We always like to start off with this. Come on.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. So whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So the things written aforetime were written for us to learn from, for us to glean from, so that when we see those things and when we see what's written, God can give us comfort. God can give us comfort in the things that we're experiencing now based on what has happened in the past, okay? So let's get that first video. I don't know if y'all been living under a rock. Hopefully you have not been. But if you haven't been, we have been experiencing the northern kingdom of our people primarily have been experiencing some turmoil in California. There have been ICE raids on multiple different locations, businesses. People have been arrested and maybe already deported. I don't know. I have no idea. But what is going on over there is nothing new, and we're going to get into it. But first, let's get some background on what is going on, just in case you're unaware. Come on.
Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In defiance of local officials, President Trump has deployed the California National Guard to Los Angeles after protests erupted in response to ICE conducting military-style raids in and around the city. This marks the first time since the 1960s a president has deployed the National Guard without a governor's request. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has also placed on high alert 500 Marines at Camp Pendleton. White House advisor Stephen Miller described the ICE protests as an insurrection. On Sunday, Trump warned this could be just the beginning of deploying troops on U.S. streets.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Earlier today, Trump wrote on social media, looking really bad in L.A., bring in the troops, unquote. California Governor Gavin Newsom plans to sue the Trump administration today. He wrote, quote, commandeering a state's National Guard without consulting the governor of that state is illegal and immoral, unquote. On Sunday, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass decried the ICE raids and the Trump administration response.
What we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation.
Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, has threatened to have Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom arrested if they interfere with federal immigration enforcement. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders said Trump is, quote, moving this country rapidly into authoritarianism. California State Senator Scott Wiener said, quote, this is what fascism looks like, unquote. On Sunday, police forces in Los Angeles fired rubber bullets, flashbang grenades, and tear gas at protesters. Police have made at least 27 arrests. Last night, police declared all of downtown Los Angeles an unlawful assembly area. Earlier in the day, officers repeatedly fired rubber bullets at protesters. One hit an Australian journalist as she was reporting from the streets.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA. You just shut the
gave you. Over the past week, federal immigration agents arrested about 118 people in the LA region. On Friday, ICE agents also arrested David Huerta, president of the California branch of the SEIU, that's Service Employees International Union. He was charged with obstruction and needed to be treated at the hospital with injuries. He remains in custody. We'll go to Los Angeles after headlines.
All right, so you
Israeli-
see, it is chaos in LA. And there are protests all over the country about this, but primarily in Los Angeles, it is a war zone right now. And it's over the deportations that Trump is trying to implement that he said he would do from day one. He said he would do this stuff, and now he's actually delivering on that promise, okay? Trump is not for our people. So, you know, all you Hispanics out there that voted for Trump, you getting exactly what you voted for. That's why we don't get involved, but trust and believe the Lord's hand is in the midst of this. But let's get a little bit more. Let's get that news article from the BBC. We just want to get a little bit of background before we go into it, because we want to give you guys the full understanding of what's going on out there so you're well informed. But also, remember, this is History in the AM, so we're going to get some history. Is this something new? Deportation with our people? We'll find out. Come on. All right, read that.
Everything we know about the protests in LA and other U.S. cities.
All right, scroll down. All right, we're not going to read all of this, but just read, start there. Come on.
Hundreds of people have been arrested in Los Angeles after days of protest, which erupted following immigration raids ordered by U.S. President Donald Trump. An overnight curfew is enforced after violence in downtown LA. Elsewhere, much of the protest activity has been peaceful. Demos have also been confined to relatively small pockets of LA while also spreading to the other U.S. cities.
So it's demos meaning demonstrations. Come on.
Trump has deployed thousands of troops, including 700 U.S. Marines, to L.A., triggering a row with state officials who says they have things under control.
Scroll down. Read that. Why are people protesting?
Why are people protesting in L.A.? The demonstrations began on Friday after the emerged immigration and customs enforcement, ICE. Officers were carrying out raids in areas of the city with prominent Latino populations. Raids have stepped up after Trump returned to the White House and pledged to crack down on illegal immigration. The BBC's U.S. partner, CBS News, reported that recent operations took place in Westlake District as well as in Paramount, south of L.A., where the population is more than 82% Hispanic.
So this is who they're targeting. It says that they're targeting these Hispanic, or we know them as the Northern Kingdom populations. The population in these areas is more than 82% Hispanic. But I seem to remember that people from other countries come here as well, right? We've got people from Eastern Europe that are over here illegally. We've got people from China that we see crossing the border. I see videos of this thing. But when it comes to the implementation of these deportation rules that Trump is trying to crack down on, he's not doing it against the other nations. This is solely meant for the children of Israel, and it's going to get worse. Trust and believe. Come on. Keep reading.
There were also reports of an ICE raid at a Home Depot shop in Paramount, which officials told the BBC were false. ICE later told CBS that 44 unauthorized immigrants were arrested in a single operation at a job site on Friday. Another 77 were also arrested in the greater LA area on the same day.
All right, so jump down to where it says who is ICE deporting. It should be at the very bottom. Who is ICE deporting? Come on. Scroll all the way down. There you go. Who is ICE deporting? Read that.
Who is ICE deporting? The recent raids are part of the president's aim to enact the biggest deportation operation in U.S. history.
He is on the path to deport more people than ever been in U.S. history. That's what he's trying to do. And he's not trying to do it. He's not trying to do it deporting his people, so-called Caucasians. He's trying to do it to deport the children of Israel. He's trying to get them out of here. The same people that's picking your strawberries, the same people that's picking your cabbage, your lettuce, the same people that's picking all of your fruits, veggies, all your produce, that's working in the fields for little to nothing, the same people that's building your houses, he's trying to push them out the country. So who's going to do it? He's gonna cause a disruption in the ecosystem, the economy of America, but that's for another class, okay? But look, he's only targeting the children of Israel. We're gonna go into it. Come on.
Los Angeles, where over 1/3 of the population is born outside of the U.S.
In L.A., there's a reason why he's targeting L.A. It says what? Over 1/3 of the population is born outside of the United States. And a lot of them are from where? Those Central and South American countries, because it's very close to the border. Come on.
Has been a key target for operations. In early May, ICE announced it had arrested 239 undocumented immigrants during a week-long operation in the LA area. As overall arrests and deportations lag behind Trump's expectations. The following month, the White House increased its goal for ICE officials to make at least 3,000 arrests per day.
Look, that is incredible. 3,000 arrests per day. And then you got to wonder, those 3,000 people that they're trying to arrest per day, where are they going? What are they doing with them? Because they have to keep them here for a short period of time in order to be able to deport them. So where are they putting these 3,000 people a day? That's incredible. Come on.
Authorities have expanded their search increasingly to include workplaces such as restaurants and retail shops.
Retail shops and restaurants, come on. And you know, the restaurants, no offense, Northern Kingdom, but a lot of y'all be the dishwashers in the back. I worked at a restaurant before, and that dishwasher brother back there, he was killing it, okay? But I could probably bet he didn't have no papers. Come on.
The ambitious deportation campaign has included removing migrants to a mega prison in El Salvador.
A mega prison in El Salvador. Come on.
Including at least one who was in the U.S. legally.
So it don't matter if you are a legal U.S. citizen or here legally, meaning you got your green card, you got a visa or something along those lines. If you here and you look like you're not supposed to be here, guess what? You better be on your guard. You better be on your guard. If you part of the Northern Kingdom, y'all better stay on your P's and Q's around here. Don't get pulled over. Don't act a fool if you get pulled over. Show them your license, and maybe you should bring your birth certificate with you. Okay?
The hell
is that this? Is that on that? Go ahead.
Many of Trump's actions have been met by legal challenges.
Many of Trump's actions have been met by legal challenges because they're trying to challenge the status quo. We're going to see if they succeed, all right? Now, let's go to the Wikipedia article. All right, read that.
Deportation. Deportation is the expulsion of a person or group of people by a state from its sovereign territory.
So it's a expulsion of a person or group of people by a state from its sovereign territory. Come on.
The actual definition changes depending on the place and context. And it also changes over time.
So they have changed the definition of deportation over time, but we're gonna see that it's the exact same thing. We're gonna distill the definition after we read a little bit. Come on.
A person who has been deported or is under sentence of deportation is called a deportee.
All right, open up that where it says definition. Open that up. Yes, sir. Read that. Click it. Click it. There we go. Scroll down. There we go.
Definition. Definitions of deportation vary. Some include transfer beyond state borders, distinguishing it from forcible transfer.
So and this is what is ridiculous to me. It says definitions of deportation vary. Some include transfer beyond state borders. Well, if I transfer beyond a state border on my own will, then that's just called moving. Read. That's not a deportation. Come on.
Others consider it the actual implementation of an expulsion order in case where the person concerned does not follow it voluntarily.
That's more like it. Come on.
Others differentiate removal of legal immigrants, expulsion from illegal immigrants, deportation.
So some people try and split hairs and say, all right, if you hear legally, meaning you got a visa or a green card in America, that means if you're deported, they call it expulsion. If you're here legally. But if you're here illegally, then it's called deportation. It's the same thing. You're still removing people out of your sovereign territory. Come on.
Deportation in the most general sense, in accordance with International Organization for Migration, treats expulsion and deportation as synonymous in the context of migration,
Right. Adding, read.
The terminology used at the domestic or international level of expulsion and deportation is not uniform, but there is clear tendency to use the term expulsion to refer to the legal order to leave the territory of a state.
So the legal order refers to the legal order by the sovereign over whatever territory that they are controlling. So meaning if I have legal right to tell you to get out of where I'm telling you to leave, that's that legal order. Come on. And now we're calling them deportation orders. Come on.
And removal or deportation to refer to the actual implementation of such order in cases where the person concerned does not follow it voluntarily.
They do not follow it voluntarily. All right. So what it is forced removal. That's what deportation is. Okay. Now I want to show you something in the scriptures. Get Psalm chapter 94 and verse 20. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. And our forefathers have experienced it. We're going to get that in a second. Come on.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
They frame mischief by a law. Because remember, deportation includes, and we even read it in the article, some people that have been here legally or illegally. They're not differentiating. They're saying, you look like a Mexican. You look like a Cuban. You look like you're from El Salvador. You look like you might be from Brazil. All of y'all got to go. If you can't speak English and without an accent, you got to go. Only if you look like the Northern Kingdom, though. They're not doing that for other people, okay? They're not doing that for these other nations. I don't see mass deportations of Ukrainians. I don't see mass deportations of the Swedish, right, or the Germans. I don't see that at all. And there are some of them that are here illegally. But that America, the way that especially this government wants to paint it as though only Northern Kingdom is the problem. That could not be further from the truth. You know, we got a border to the north, Canada. They come here illegally. I don't see them getting deported. All right. Let's keep is that it on that? All right, let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 1. So with these laws, they frame mischief because again, they're only using them to target a certain classification of people, our people. Read.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 1. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun.
Remember, we're talking about oppression because deportation, forced removal, is a product of oppression. Come on.
And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of the oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter.
The oppressors got all the power that they want. You see it, all them military vehicles. They dressed in military riot gear. They dressed in all type of combat gear to fight a war, basically a domestic war against the people that are trying to fight against these deportations. And when these ICE raids happen, they dress in the exact same way. They're not coming to your house in a regular police uniform. They come in there for war because they know that when they try to round y'all up, y'all are going to fight against that thing. Read. Oh, wait, that's it on that. Let me get Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. So if you're seeing that, the reason why our people are mad right now is because they have some semblance of wisdom. They understand that this ain't right, but they don't understand why it's happening to them. Read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
So this oppression is making our people in California, in major cities all over the U.S., as it mentioned in the article, they're mad. And that is from oppression. Our people, because of the oppression that they have experienced, they pissed off. Rightfully so, but there is another way. And that's what we're here to show y'all, on top of the history that this has happened to our people over and over again. Come on.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
And a gift destroyeth the heart. That gift is a lot of times jobs, money, bribery. So if you are willing to give up the fight, it's probably because one of them things happened to you. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 8. Because our Lord and Savior told us how to deal when we see things like this going down. Come on.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment, and justice in a province.
So it says, if you see these things happening, what should you do? Read.
Marvel not at the matter.
It say, don't marvel at the matter. Don't go, why is this happening to us? That's why we need these scriptures. That's why we read Romans 15 and 4 at the beginning of the lesson, because we understand through the Spirit of Christ by reading these scriptures what the deal is. We shouldn't marvel. We know what time it is. Read.
For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they.
And there be higher than they. So the people that are in power that are doing this stuff, the oppressors, they have somebody over them, which is our God, who is going to judge them for the evil that they've done. We just got to sit back, keep God's commandments, and let it all play out. All right, we got to play our role. We got to dive in these scriptures, learn who we are, keep the commandments and the faith of Christ, and then we're going to see what the end of these people shall be for the perverting of judgment, for the oppression against our people. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. But this is also another reason why we're about to go into right here, why these things are happening to us. Why is it that it's only us that's getting targeted? Come on.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So we have to understand that we've been warned by Moses way back in the day. Moses warned us, if you did not keep God's commandments, certain things would happen to you. Curses would happen to you. Let's get some of those curses. Verse 29.
Verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
So these people that are out there protesting, I used to be one of them. I used to be out there back in the days protesting, getting tear gas, fighting against the police. But I noticed that anytime we came together to do that stuff, it never worked. It said you will not prosper in your ways, because we searching for this way. Okay, we gonna vote. Maybe that'll work. All right, we gonna march. Maybe that'll work. All right, we gonna riot and protest. Maybe that'll work. But yet and still, for all of the marching and protesting I did, and for all the marching and protesting that's going on here, they're not gonna stop these deportations. How are they gonna stop 3,000 deportations a day? They can't even stop the fact that they made all downtown LA unlawful assembly area. So how are you going to stop the deportation? You can't even control when you got curfew in LA right now. That makes no sense. So God said we are not going to prosper in our ways. Read.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
So all of these brothers and sisters, all of these people that's joining hands with the other nations trying to get help in this situation is not happening. It says no man shall save thee. Verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
That's part of that was when that happens is during deportation. They're splitting up families. So as soon as the ICE comes in, knocks on your door, hey, you go that way, you go that way. Mom and dad over here, kids that way. And then some of these people don't get to see their families. There's missing children. I should have pulled up the article, but there are missing children from all these deportations. They don't know where they're at. They cannot find them.
The hell is this?
Well, so what you telling me that you took them, but you can't tell me where my children are? That is exactly what we're reading about right now. So if y'all are confused, if some of y'all have been watching these protests about these deportations and you're confused as to what is going on, trust and understand this Bible has the answers, and it's because of our disobedience. Read it again.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given into another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
You're going to see these ICE raids go down all over L.A., all over Chicago, all over Texas, Dallas, Houston, all over Florida, Tampa, Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville. You're going to see them all over the place. And what? Read on.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
You're not going to be able to do anything about it. I remember right after Donald Trump got elected the first time and he promised those deportations, I had to make a road trip from Atlanta all the way to Houston, Texas. And guess what I seen all along the way? At least twice in every state that I passed through along the way, I saw immigration trucks pulling people over. That was right after Donald Trump got elected back in 2026 or 2016.
Damn!
So he's going even harder this time. He said he was going to deport more people than ever before in U.S. history. You don't think that's going to happen again? I've seen it around the town that we in here in Tampa. I've seen immigration out doing what they do. I'm looking to the left, I'm looking to the right. I'm like, dang, I ain't seen this many ICE vehicles before. What's going on? Donald Trump's in town.
Bruh.
That's what we getting into right now. Last verse on this, verse 36. Come on.
Come on!
Verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods.
So we and this is part of the problem. Our people in Northern Kingdom need a wake-up call. They need to understand that those false idols are not going to save them. All right, that little shrine they got back at their house with the Virgin Mary, the white Virgin Mary, with white Jesus, white Lazarus, white St. Peter, white St. Paul. Those are not going to help you. Those gods are not saving you. You've gone away from our God, the true God, and God in your affliction is trying to call you back. He's trying to give you that little papao, right? The chancla, he's throwing it at your head right now so you can get it right. So you can do according to what he said and come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. So you get a little chastised for your disobedience, these curses. Okay? Let's go back to that Wikipedia article. I got one more thing I want to pull out on that. I want to go back to one thing. There's a little bit of history that it mentions in the Wikipedia article about deportation, which is going to launch us into the topic. All right? And then after that, I want 2nd Ezra 5 and 42. All right? Pull that up. Pull that back up for me. Okay. Scroll down to history. I just want to read the first paragraph. Click on where it says history. Thank you, sir. All right, read that.
Antiquity. Expulsions occurred in ancient history. They were well recorded, particularly in ancient Mesopotamia. The kingdoms of Israel and Judah faced several forced expulsions.
Wait a minute. It says the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. I didn't write this. Scroll up so it don't. I'm blocking it. I'm blocking it a little bit. There you go. It says the kingdoms of Israel and Judah faced several forced expulsions. That's what this class is about, a history on deportation. So if just in case you didn't know, our people have been deported over and over and over and over again. Damn. Just like this Wikipedia article is saying, we're going to prove it in the scriptures. Read that again.
Expulsions occurred in ancient history. They were well recorded, particularly in ancient Mesopotamia. The kingdoms of Israel and Judah faced several forced expulsions, including deportations by the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Following the fall of Israel and during Sennacherib's campaign in the 8th century BC, Later, the Neo-Babylonian Empire deported much of the Judean population. Upon conquering Judah in 597 BC and 587 BC.
All right, so we see now that deportation has happened to our people more than once. It talks about the Assyrian captivity and the Babylonian captivity. Get that in 2nd Esdras 5:42.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 5 and verse 42.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring.
So those judgments that we read about in the curses in Deuteronomy were a product of God's continual judgment, right? Those curses didn't just happen to us one time. They continue to happen to our people. Read.
Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first.
So we got to understand that these curses are going to continue to happen to our people over and over again, just like these deportations that happened to our people during Assyria, during Babylon. They're happening once again. Once again. All right. So now we're going to get into it. Let's start with Assyria. We're going to go in chronological order. So deportation under Assyria is what we're dealing with right now. Let's get 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 27. 2 Kings 15 and 27 is where we're going to start.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 15 and verse 27.
Come on.
In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah.
So Azariah was the king of Judah. Read.
Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel.
And Pekah was the king of Samaria, or northern kingdom. Come on.
In Samaria, and reigned 20 years.
And he reigned 20 years. Read on.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
He did that which was evil in the sight of God. So we seen that judgments come upon our people for the evil that they do. So because of his evil, what happened? Come on.
He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon, and Abel-Beth-Maachah, and Jadnoah, and Kadesh, and Hazor, and Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria.
And carried them captive to Assyria. So you see, and what you'll notice, what we're going to go into is that these deportations happened in waves. So we came into certain cities of the northern kingdom and carried them captive into Assyria. That's called forced removal. Okay? Deportation, expulsion, they're all the same thing. So this was when it happened under the Assyrian Empire. Okay? Tiglath-Pileser did this. Now, let's jump. 2 Kings chapter 17. And we're going to start at verse 1.
2 Kings, chapter 17, and verse 1.
Bring it out.
In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years.
Okay, so before we have Pekah, now we have Hoshea reigning over the northern kingdom. And at this point in time during Assyria, it was only northern kingdom that was getting deported. Very similar to what's going on right now. Because you don't see Judah getting deported yet. But it may happen in the future where if you black, you better get back from America. They gonna try and get you up out of here. Come on.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria.
So against him came Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. This is a different king. So first we had Tiglath-Pileser. Now we have Shalmaneser. Come on.
And Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison.
All right, so that's why we read the curse in Deuteronomy 28 and 36 about your king. Because remember, our kings weren't unable to get punished as well. They had the same opportunity to get this judgment just as our people did. You see an example right here. Come on.
Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years.
Read.
In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor, by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes.
So again, you see another wave or phase of deportations of the northern kingdom. So they removed them out of the land little by little. Didn't all happen at once. Come on.
For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods.
Again, the punishment in response, or the judgment in response to the evil of going after other gods, was that you and your king, both of y'all getting up out of here. God is removing you from the land. Because trust and believe, these nations would not have any power to do what they're doing unless the Lord allowed it. So because of our disobedience, God is giving, and back then and now, judgment upon our people so that we can get it right. Come on.
And walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their God. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
All right, jump to verse 22. So you see, we still continued in the evil despite getting the judgment. And I pray in these last days that you, brothers and sisters of the northern kingdom who understand what I'm saying, that y'all repent and get away from the evil that you're doing so that you can receive the glory of the kingdom and not have to get deported no more. Please, come on.
1 Kings chapter 17 and verse 22.
Come on.
For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them, until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
See that? Israel was carried away out of their own land. This is another phase of the deportations of our people. Come on.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cuthah, and from Avah, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
So not only did they get removed out of the cities, right, but then they brought in other people to replace them. Read.
And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Lord. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
So, but the Lord had some payback for that. He said, hey, you going to move people in, but guess what? They don't know how to operate in this land. I know my people wicked as hell, and they didn't do what they're supposed to do, but I'm definitely not going to accept it from you. So he sent lions to kill some of them. Come on.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land.
They don't know the manner of the God in the land because God's spirit was supposed to dwell in that land. So because of how his spirit was supposed to be there, the land was supposed to be dealt with in a certain way. That's why we got pushed up out of there and the other nations got pulled in. But guess what? He still had judgment on them nations for not operating the right way. Come on.
Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land.
They know not the manner of the God of this land. Now, get those photos that I sent, IT, on the Assyrian deportations. I want to get that real quick. Just as a little extra proof of what we're talking about right here.
Ancient Records of Assyria and Babylonia by Daniel David
Lukenbill. All right. Real Edomitish last name. So you know we didn't write this. Okay, next. All right, so what this is an inscription from one of the kings of Assyria about what he did to our people. Get read verse 55, I believe. Yep.
From the year of my accession to the 15th year of my reign, I brought about the defeat of Humbenagash, the Elamite.
So this is an Elamite he's talking about. This ain't got nothing to do with us. But read the next part.
In the plain of Dur, I besieged and captured Samaria.
I besieged and did what?
I besieged and captured Samaria.
So just what we read in the scriptures, this is proof. This is proof. This is from Sargon II's prism inscription. This is what this is from. Come on.
Carrying off 27,290 of the people who dwelt therein. So chariots I gathered from among them.
Oh, it said 50. 50.
50 chariots I gathered from among them. I caused others to take to deport inhabitants.
It says the deported inhabitants. So again, we got another reference to our people being deported. Read.
Deported inhabitants portion. I set my officers over them and imposed upon them the tribute of the former king Hanno, king of Gaza, with Sebe, Turtan of Egypt, who had come out against me at Raphihu to offer battle and fight. I defeated.
All right. So so this was Assyria. This was under Assyria, and that inscription that we just read about, Sargon II's prism inscription, that's what this is. So we have biblical sources and extra biblical sources to prove that our people have been deported in the past. Now let's go under Babylon. 2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 8. We ain't just get deported once. Remember, the Wikipedia article mentioned Assyria and Babylon. Come on.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he began to reign.
So Jehoiachin, also known as Jeconiah or Coniah in the scriptures, he was the son of Jehoiakim. All right. He was 18 years old when he began to reign. Read.
And he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged.
So at this time, Nebuchadnezzar came against our people of the southern kingdom, right? He came up against the city, and it was just besieged. Come on.
And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it.
Uh-huh.
And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign.
And they took him in the 8th year of his reign. Read.
And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon king of Israel had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained save the poorest sort of the people of the land.
All right, so it says none remained except the poorest of the people of the land. Let's get a little bit more history on that. Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 15. So we see that during the time, these are one of the last kings of Israel right here, of the southern kingdom. You got Jehoiachin, and after him was his uncle Zedekiah. And that was it. That was all. Okay? But at that time, Nebuchadnezzar came against Jerusalem and besieged it and removed everybody, once again, out of the land. And nobody remained except the poorest of the land. Read that in Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I will cast you out of my sight as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim.
Right. So this was Jeremiah giving a prophecy to southern kingdom, telling them, look, because you're not right with God, the same thing that you saw happen to them, it's about to happen to you too. And we just read about when it happened in 2 Kings. Come on.
Therefore, pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them.
Because God says too late. It's already set in stone. I said it, it's done. Come on.
Neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear thee. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
They make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. So that is another class, another time. But guess that is exactly why we are being judged. So you see over and over again the reasons why our people being judged is for the sins of our people. It's for the sin. Northern Kingdom was evil as hell, so they had to get judged. They got removed out of the land. Southern Kingdom, evil as hell. Now they getting moved out the land too. Let's go back to 2 Kings 24. We're going to pick up at verse 15. Come on.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty of the land, those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon.
From Jerusalem to Babylon. Come on.
And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000, all that was strong and apt for war. Even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon.
So he brought all the mighty men. He got them and took them to Babylon. So as mighty as they were, they couldn't keep themselves from getting deported. Okay? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 8. And then we coming right back to 2 Kings 25. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 8.
Jeremiah chapter 25 and verse 8. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, because ye have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment and a hissing, and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the candle.
So the Lord said he bringing major judgment on you through the heathen. And this was, again, another prophecy from Jeremiah to establish what was going to happen and why it was going to happen. Why are you getting deported? It's because of your evil. Keep on reading. Verse 11.
Verse 11. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years.
So we were serving the king of Babylon for 70 years. That was the judgment for the evil that we did, along with the deportation. Not only did we get deported, but then we're going to have to serve him in our deported state. Damn. We can't be in our land. We can't be in our house that I grew up in, right? I can't go to my cousin's house down the street no more. I got to go get deported, and then I'm going to serve the king of Babylon, the same one who deported me. 2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 8.
2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 8. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, captain of the guard, servant of the king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burnt he with fire.
So this is in the 11th year of our captivity under Babylon. So it says the 19th year of the king of Nebuchadnezzar. But it was his 19th year reigning in Babylon, our 11th year under his reign and authority. At that time, he burnt the city. Come on.
And all the army of the Chaldees that were with the captain of the guard break down the walls of Jerusalem round about.
So not only did they destroy the temple, they broke down the walls as well. Come on.
Now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carry away.
So again, just like how it happened in waves and phases to the northern kingdom, the same thing happened to the southern kingdom in Babylon. So if you thought you were safe, Southern Kingdom, and you watching right now, and you saying, well, that's not my problem, because there's a huge issue amongst blacks and Hispanics right now. Black people are going, well, sucks to be you, can't help you. But then we did the same thing back then because we had hatred one for another. So that same hatred that we have for them back then, we got it now. But the same judgment happened to our people.
The hell is this?
Northern Kingdom wasn't the only one that got deported. Southern Kingdom, it happened to too. Trust and believe the same thing is going to happen nowadays. And the expectation is probably going to be that when it's happening to us, Northern Kingdom going to go, remember when we was going through it and you ain't had nothing to say? Look at you now. Look at you now. Looking stupid in the face. All right, come on, keep reading.
But the captain of the guard left of the poor of the land to be vine dressers and husbandmen, and the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord did the Chaldees break in pieces, and carried the brass of them to Babylon.
So he carried the everything away to Babylon. Not just the people, but also our stuff. Come on.
And the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the spoons and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered took they away. And the fire pans and the bowls and such things as were of gold, in gold and of silver, and silver the captain of the guard took away.
So they took everything from us. Everything. Not only did they take our people, they took our goods, they took our precious things, they took the things of the temple. All that got taken away as a result of our sin. Now, let's get the Wikipedia article, the Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle. This is another example that is documented history that this has happened to our people. It's not just in the Bible, even though we know the Bible is a history book. But some of y'all unbelievers out there, y'all will say, oh, that's just something that the Bible said. It's not real. Let's see. Let's see. Because we didn't write this. Come on. The Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle. Come on.
The Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle. The Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle, also known as Jerusalem Chronicle, is one of the series of Babylonian chronicles and contains a description of the first 11 years of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II. The tablet details Nebuchadnezzar's military campaigns in the west and has been interpreted to refer to both the Battle of Carchemish and the Siege of Jerusalem, 597 BC. The tablet is numbered ABC 5 in Grayson's standard text and BM 21946 in the British Museum.
Just some fancy means of tracking. I don't know. Come on.
It is one of the two identified chronicles referring to Nebuchadnezzar and does not cover the whole of his reign.
Remember, we only went to the 11th year of his reign because this tracks the same thing. In the 11th year of his reign is when he came against our people. All right, in the 11th year of his reign over Jerusalem. Come on.
The ABC 5 is a continuation of Babylonian Chronicle ABC 4, the late years of Nabopolassar, where Nebuchadnezzar is mentioned as the crown prince. Since the ABC 5 only provides a record through Nebuchadnezzar's 11th year, the subsequent destruction and exile recorded in the Hebrew Bible to have taken place 10 years later are not covered in the Chronicle or elsewhere in the archaeological record. As with most other Babylonian chronicles, the tablet is unprovenance, having been purchased in 1896 via an antiquities dealer from the unknown excavation.
All right, let's jump down to where it says Siege of Jerusalem. Jump down. There we go. Click on that. Yep, right there.
Siege of Jerusalem. The chronicle does not refer to Jerusalem directly, but mentions a city, La Hadu, interpreted to be city of Judah.
Oh, wait. Scroll up. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, that's it. Okay, all right, cool.
In the 7th year of Nebuchadnezzar, in the month Chislev, November, December, the king of Babylon assembled his army, and after he had invaded the land of Hatti, Turkey, Syria, he laid siege to the city of Judah. On the 2nd day of the month of Adar, 16th of March, he conquered the city and took the king Jeconiah prisoner. He installed in his place a king, Zedekiah, of his own choice. And after he had received rich tribute, he sent forth to Babylon.
So you see that it chronicles the exact same thing that we read in the Bible about what happened, how he came against our people, and it ended up deporting us. Let's get the next Wikipedia article about Jehoiachin's rations tablets. More historical proof. While we waiting, We didn't hit Zedekiah real quick. Grab, let's get verse 2 Kings 24 and verse 8. Just to prove that while we getting that. Come on.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 8.
I'm sorry, 24 and 18.
24 and 18.
Let's start at verse 17.
2 Kings chapter 24 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead.
Right. So Jehoiachin's father's brother, which would be his uncle, he made him king in his stead. Read.
And changed his name to Zedekiah.
And changed his name to Zedekiah. That's what we just read in the Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle. Come on.
Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah.
All right. So we got that IT. We ready? Jehoiachin's rations tablets. Let's get that real quick.
Jehoiachin's rations tablets. Jehoiachin's rations tablets date from the 6th century BC and describe the oil ration set aside for a royal captive identified with Jeconiah, king of Judah.
So Jehoiachin and Jeconiah are the same person, so you can understand. Come on.
Tablets from the royal archives of Nebuchadnezzar II, emperor of Neo-Babylonian Empire, were unearthed in the ruins of Babylon that contained food rations paid to captives and craftsmen who lived in and around the city. One of the tablets, Yahukimu, king of the land of Yehuda.
So Yahukimu is Jehoiakim or Jeconiah. Come on.
Is mentioned along with his 5 sons listed as royal princes.
Hit translation.
Translation. The tablet's text states.
Never mind. I just wanted to see what it said. Okay, all right. So we hit on Assyria. We hit on Babylon. Let's touch on Persia really quickly. So even though we understand that most of our people were out of the land at this point in time during the Persian Median captivity, but we still see references in the scriptures to us being scattered all over the earth. So let's get Ezra 1 and 1 to start out.
The book of Ezra, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled. The Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem.
All right, so he's at this point in time, he's allowing the people to come back from the places in which they were scattered. Because remember, in Assyria, northern kingdom got scattered. In Babylon, southern kingdom got scattered. So now he's saying, come on back now, come on.
And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold, and with goods and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem.
Come on.
Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests, and the Levites.
So at this point in time, the people of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi primarily, which is known as the southern kingdom, they decided to come back. Read.
With all them.
With all them is remnants of the northern kingdom. Remnants of the northern kingdom. That's why you read about some of the northern kingdom Gentiles in the New Testament. Come on.
Whose spirit God had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem.
All right, 2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 40. What happened to the rest of northern kingdom who did not return? Where did they go?
2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 40.
Come on.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
They were carried prisoners out of their own land. Then when they got deported, read.
In the time of Osei, the king whom Salmanasseh, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
All right, this was around 722 BC, just so you can have a time on it, because we read about Hoshea or Osea, the king, earlier on in 2 Kings 17. So at this point in time was around 722 BC. Come on.
And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
That other land was what we're talking about. They put them into the land of Assyria and Nineveh, places like that. Come on.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So this is actually talking about the end of the Babylonian Empire, when the Persian Medes started to reign. Okay, so it's jumping from verse 40 to verse 41. It's jumping about 200 years. This is around 539 BC. Read that again, verse 41.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So instead of returning, like we just read about in Ezra, they decided to leave and go into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Come on.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
So they were supposed to keep those statutes in their own land. Which land was that? America. America is where they went. So North America, Central America, South America. Our people were already here, just like when we were already in the land of Israel. But despite that fact, and this will be the other half of the class, that it's just a setup for next time. But our people are being deported again from the land that they were supposed to originally inhabit, just like the land of Israel. Same thing. Keep reading.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth.
And the same region is called Arsareth. When you look it up in the Jewish Encyclopedia, Arsareth was identified with America by Christopher Columbus. Let's get Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. A little bit more reference to our people being scattered. Why? How did we get scattered? Part of it was through forced removal, deportation. Read.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
So he said there is a people scattered abroad and dispersed in all of your provinces. How did we get there? Did we move? Did we pack up and leave? Or was it forced removal? It was deportation. Come on.
And the laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
And this was Haman's evil plot to try and get rid of us. But the point is that he mentioned how we were scattered throughout all of his provinces that he was over. He was over 127 different provinces. And Haman recognized that and wanted to get rid of us. So let's skip. We hit Assyria. We hit Babylon. We hit Persian Media. Let's see what happened during the time of the Greek Empire.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 32.
Uh-huh.
So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt.
Come on.
And to bring up his son Antiochus.
Okay, so this Antiochus is Antiochus the Fifth, Eupator. His father was Antiochus the Fourth. Okay, so read.
And to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again. Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he would have done, as also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem.
So he sent his son to try to come against Jerusalem. So at this time, what were they trying to do? Read.
To wit, that he should send an army against them, to destroy and root out the strength of Israel.
So he should send an army to root out Israel. Read.
And the remnant of Jerusalem.
Come on.
And to take away their memorial from that place. And that he should place strangers in all their quarters, and divide their land by lot.
So you see, He tried to do the exact same thing to happen to our people during the time of the Assyrians and during the time of the Babylonians. They were trying to do the same thing. But when you read on, they were unsuccessful in this particular effort. But that didn't keep them from trying. Do you understand? So we, throughout time, have been subject to persecutions from the heathen where they tried to get us out of our land. They tried it multiple different times and they succeeded. But this particular time they did not. So let's jump to Rome. Let's see what happened in the time of Rome. Acts chapter 18 and verse 2. Let's see what happened during the Roman captivity.
The book of Acts chapter 18 and verse 2.
Start at verse 1.
Verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome.
It says Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome. Claudius said, you Negroes got to leave. You got to get up out of here. Forced removal, expulsion, deportation. That's what happened to our people. Come on.
And came unto them.
And came unto them. Let's get Luke chapter 21 and verse 20. Christ also prophesied about our forced removal from our land. Come on.
The book of Luke chapter 21 and verse 20.
Come on.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance.
These be the days of vengeance. So this time period what Christ is referring to is called 70 AD, where Titus and Vespasian, father and son, came against the nation of Israel to destroy it, to get us up out of there. Come on.
That all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
There should be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. Ain't that what we seeing right now? Ain't there great distress amongst the northern kingdom of Israel? In LA, in all these cities where there is a heavy immigrant population. Because remember, Trump is doing this on purpose. He said that particular area that we're striking, we read it in the article, was 82% Hispanic. They're coming against our people on purpose, just like they have done time and time and time again. And understand that same distress and wrath is that judgment that is a ring that God's talked about. Come on.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Our people will be destroyed, read.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
And led away captive, deported, forcibly removed into all nations, read.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And just like how other nations had lived in our lands before, in our place, right now we have the imposters living in our land, taking our identity, stealing our identity, pretending to be us. Just, hey, look, hey, this Bible ain't nothing to mess with. God is nothing to mess with. Understand, this is something that's spiritual happening to our people right now. We got to recognize that this is something that we can fix by doing what? Repenting.
That's right.
Because all of this stuff has happened because we did not keep God's commandments. That's why we touched on the curses. So if you Hispanics are tired of seeing your people getting deported, having to wonder whether or not they're going to creep through your window, come through your back door, we got to get right with God. That's the only solution. All right, let's get that last picture from Josephus. We're going to read this right here. Read where it says book 7, chapter 1. Scroll down and zoom in.
Book of Josephus, book 7, chapter 1. How the entire city of Jerusalem was demolished, excepting 3 towers, and how Titus commended his soldiers in a speech made to them and distributed rewards to them, and then dismissed many of them. Now as soon as the army had no more people to slay or to plunder, because there remained none to be objects of their fury.
Because remember, Christ told us that they shall fall by the edge of the sword. So this is what that's referring to. Now, as soon as that army had no more people to slay or plunder, that's when they came to kill us. Come on.
For they would not have spared any. Had there remained any other such work to be done, Caesar gave orders that they should now demolish the entire city and temple, but should leave as many of the towers standing as were of the great eminency. That is, Phasaelus and Hippicus and Mariam, and so much of the wall had as enclosed the city on the west side.
Now, it says, where did we read it? It says Caesar gave orders that they should now demolish the entire city and temple. I want to point something out. And then it says so much of the wall as enclosed the city on the west side. Read.
The wall was spread in order to
spared.
The wall was spared in order to
scroll up or zoom in.
Afford a camp for such as were to lie in garrison.
So it said this wall that was on the west side of the city was spared, but it said that the temple and the city were destroyed. This wall that it's referring to is the western wall of Jerusalem. That's the same wall that they call the Wailing Wall, that they do the humping, they hump the wall. That's not, this is Josephus' account of this thing. That is not the temple. That is the western wall of Jerusalem that was left up, that was ordered to do so by Titus and Vespasian. Okay? So that western wall, if somebody tries to tell you that is the city, the temple of Jerusalem, don't believe it. All right? Come on.
As were the towers also spared in order to demonstrate to posterity what kind of city it was, and how well fortified which the Roman valor had subdued. But for all the rest of the wall, it was so thoroughly laid, even with the ground, by those that dug it up to the foundation, that there was left nothing to make those that came thither believe it had been ever inhabited.
That's how bad the destruction was. That you would never believe that it had ever been inhabited. That's how you know that it's not talking about the temple. You know what I'm saying? They destroyed the temple. That wall that's up today, that western wall, that Wailing Wall, is not the temple. Come on.
This was the end which Jerusalem came by the madness of those that were for innovations, a city otherwise of great magnificence and of mighty fame among all mankind.
Among all mankind. So they destroyed one of the most magnificent cities of all time. But guess what? That city is going to be returned and restored in these last days. You understand? And when Christ returns, our city will be destroyed and our strangers will build up our walls. So put me back, Big. All right. So this was part one. There's a lot of history with our people when it comes to deportation, as you can see. Okay. But we went through the history. We showed you from the beginning. Assyria had us in captivity and deported us. Babylonian had us in captivity, deported us. Persian Medes, they didn't deport us. They let us back into the land, but they reference our scattering through the means of deportation. Okay? The Greeks tried to deport us and put other people in our land. They tried. The Romans got us up out the land entirely, and now there are strangers in our land. Strangers in our land, okay? So that'll conclude it for this time. But guess what, family? If you haven't done so, right here, boop, whoop, hold on, yeah, right there. Donate to the Booster Club. Donate. Make sure you are donating to help this truth. Help us push this gospel to the four corners of the earth so we can go to our people of the Northern Kingdom and show them why they're getting deported.
That's right.
Show them why they're experiencing these struggles from God, okay? All right. So, hey, all praises to the Most High family. This was History in the AM. Whose land is it anyway? A history on deportation. So, in case you didn't know, it's been happening. It's been happening to our people, and it will continue to happen until we get right with the Most High God. All right. And with that, family, we say shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models.